Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, April 6th, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining once again to cover ANW Junior is Bijan. How you making out?
I am great, my man. Finally, I am back to the gym. I ran 10 miles in just under 2 hours, so I still got it. My hips are not happy with me right now, but, it's nice to work out.
Yeah, I've been doing the physio thing. Not actually at the working out stage, but doing the stretches and all the good things that I need to do to get back in my fighting shape, get back on that wall.
Progress, man. And it sounds like, does that mean you're going to give it another try, do the wall? Maybe not be doing maybe the top level ones or
yeah.
But
well, that's the thing, right? I've had a lot of people ask me that. I loved it so much. It was like something I looked forward to doing. It was good for me to do other than this. Yeah, that's the plan. Go back and stay closer to the ground.
That's good, man. And honestly, a safer method of, I guess kind of safer, is doing like the high walls, where you're like connected to the rope. I forget the technical term. But like with that, it might be easier for you because you don't have to worry about falling.
Yeah, I think that's going to be part of it. They have a tread wall. I think I'm just going to kind of make my own routes along, the bottom and things.
Sorry, very quick. What's a tread wall?
Oh, a tread wall is like a treadmill. It's just like a rotating wall, and you can just climb forever.
Dude, that's dope. Man, I wish they had something like that at my gym, because that's a really good way of working yourself out.
Yeah, it's got different tensions, so it can go at different speeds and things. It's really weirdly laid out. I think that it's just basically just something to practice on and get some, work up a sweat. So it'd be harder to keep it interesting. That's my main concern, I guess, is that what I liked about climbing was it was like a puzzle, so I got to figure out my own puzzles.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's really good at building up like grip strength and everything, right?
Yeah, I just mean trying to keep myself engaged, find ways to make it fun.
I mean, it's always the struggle, like, the treadmill and everything else. It's like, it's the same repetitious thing over and over again.
Yep, and one way to keep the treadmills and other, let's say, less exciting exercises interesting is watching ANW Junior, which is, I think, how you pass the time at the gym, right?
Yes! I love it. And more importantly, I have bought the entire season. Thank you to whoever suggested that. It's on Amazon Prime. I was so happy. And, why not give $15 to my favorite, show series, right? So I got the whole season down, bought, and I don't have to worry about missing any more episodes because, man, that was very stressful that 1 week where I spent hours trying to find this darn show. So very happy. And thank you again to everybody who suggested it.
Yes, thank you very much, and welcome to my life, because I failed on the $1 Million Mile challenge that we didn't really intend to set for ourselves. I have cable. I could have very easily recorded it, but I didn't think to set it before the show aired, so now I'm a couple episodes deep with no real way to get back to it. So, Bijan, you watched it though, right? And you're going to give us a rundown here later this episode.
Yeah. I watched the premiere, and I'll give you guys a rundown.
Cool. Because I am actually going to record the series and check it out. I don't know what we'll cover the series, but I want to check it out, so I'll just jump in at the next episode.
Yeah, all I'll say is I'm very excited to at least cover one episode with you and hear your thoughts.
Cool. All right, so let's get into ANW Junior here. The reason we are here, this episode, I gotta say, was
before
rough.
We go, episode 14 is what we're covering right now, right?
Because
we are behind, so for the listeners, what we're talking about.
That's a good point. Yeah, we're on episode 14. We're a little behind. I think I saw some posts saying that we're at the Sweet 16 now, so we are I think we're at least 2 episodes behind.
Okay, so maybe. Well, we'll see. But
yeah,
maybe 1 week we'll catch up.
Yeah, I think that's, in the next couple of weeks, we'll figure out a way to do it, either 2 per or just kind of really breeze through summary for all of them. All right, so First up in this episode, we had Jason McNeil versus Bella Palmer. And Bella's very crafty young girl. She did really great. She got ahead, but she got slowed up on the spin cycle. Jason made it close, but in the end, Bella was able to take it home.
Yeah, she was crafty, but man, she was crafty on this course too. I mean, she was good. I really like that she wasn't like overly like speedy or anything, but she was very steady and evenly paced throughout the entire course. And yeah, it really worked out for her.
Yep. Next up, we had Madison Asmus versus Vaughn Stevens. The rhino versus the unicorn. Kind of an interesting little pairing they had going.
Dude, that unicorn outfit.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Pretty cute.
You know what? Go for it, guys. Like, I was like, yes, that is amazing. Like, why not?
We've been missing the costume competitors a little bit here lately, so that was pretty cool. Madison has a sister with alopecia, which we're very familiar with from Kevin Bull. And she's also written 2 books. Like, these kids never stop, like, making me feel bad.
I missed that. She wrote 2 books?
Yes.
How old is she?
She's, 9 or 10?
Oh, man. What am I doing with my life? That is, like, seriously, good on her. That is legit.
I honestly thought you were going to pick up and go on about that one when I heard it. I was like, oh, here we go. Bijan's going to love that one.
Man, I totally missed that part.
Oh, this is the one. Yeah, Madison ended up missing the net on TikTok. It took a weird, nasty spill, unfortunately.
Dude, she straight up whiffed.
Yeah, just boom,
she went for it, and her hands are like out, but she just completely missed that net and went splat into the water. But hey, if you're gonna fall in the water, make it memorable, right?
Yep. Yeah, if I remember correctly, she was kind of to the back of the TikTok. She hadn't moved herself around to the side and gotten a good push off, So that meant that she then went up against Bella, the winner from the first round. Madison ended up getting caught up on the ropes at the beginning, and Bella just crushed it again.
Yeah, Bella was really good.
Next up, we had Jason versus Vaughn. Vaughn being the rhino that we were talking about. Really cool segment with rhinos. He's a very big fan. They had a very close match, but Vaughn fell in the end of the I-beam when he was transitioning from the beam to the bar. It was like he's making the reach over to get off the obstacle and just end up slipping off.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant in the final we had Bella versus Jason, a rematch of their the crafty very first one that we talked about. Bella missed the rope on the TikTok and ended up falling in, making Jason McNeil the winner of the 9-10 bracket. Moving on to the 11-12 age bracket, we had Addy Herman versus Ben Behrens. Ben helps his parents with foster kids that they take in, which was a pretty cool little segment, cute little thing.
It's adorable, man. Those kids, like, we already have a kid, and he's like basically like taking care of like a little baby. I don't know, something about that, super adorable.
It was making me a little nervous. The kid's like almost as big as he is, and he's carrying him around and stuff. I was just like, parent anxiety kicking in. It was a good race. Ben was able to get off the flywheels faster. He hesitated, and Addy blew past him for the win.
Yeah, I mean, Addy was going for broke in all of her races, and I was loving it. She was like, I don't know, man. Like, when it comes to, like, the end of the course, like, that final portion, she just, like, kicks it into, like, high gear.
Moving on, we had Sophie Stewart versus Micah Zuman. Was fast-forwarded. Micah struggled on the rings, ended up falling in. Did not look like he had a very good race. Which carried over into the next one. Unfortunately, when he went up against Addy, who was so strong in the first round, she had a segment for her, and we see why she's so strong. She wakeboards, she arm wrestles. Addy was well ahead. Micah was struggling again on the rings and ended up falling at that same point, making Addy the winner of that round.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks when we see one of these kids just have, like, this Achilles heel of an obstacle, but I hope, he goes and trains and overcomes that one obstacle,
Yeah.
I still crush crayons in my spare time. But yeah, good on him.
I like that one of the competitors, and I can't remember who it was that had fallen. They were talking to her on the sidelines, and they showed her saying, "I was so nervous." And I was like, "Yeah, we have to remember, like it's not just an athletic competition, right? The pressure they're under with the cameras, the lights, the ninjas, their parents, and all this, and they've got that other kid racing against them. That's a lot of intense pressure in that competition. So." Micah could very well crush it on any other given day, and maybe the everything else got to him.
Yeah, man. I mean, as a teacher, I mean, it's like pulling teeth just to get these kids to like stand up in front of the class and like talk for a minute, Like I can't even imagine what it's like for these kids to like have the spotlight on them and do this athletic endeavor. It's a lot of pressure.
The few times I've had someone actually trying to interview me and stick a mic in my face, I completely freeze up and fumble over my words. I'm still impressed. As much as, the adult ninjas have it down pretty well for the most part. The kids struggle at times, but that's hard. That's really hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like literally today, I hosted a event and I was speaking in front of 200 people. But even with me, who has a degree in public speaking, it's nerve wracking. It doesn't get easier. So, I mean, at their age, props to them.
We then had a matchup between Ben, who had gotten second earlier, versus Sophie, who had beaten Micah. Sophia got really messed up in the rings, like really twisted around. Didn't really seem to be going in the right direction at all. Ben got ahead, but he had struggled on the wall last time, so the question was whether he was going to be able to make it, and he did. He was able to beat the wall this time around.
Yeah, I was happy for him.
So that meant that Ben went on to the finals versus Addy, who has been so strong to this point. It was a very, very good close race. Ben got through the flywheels faster, but he ended up missing the wall, and Addy was able to win yet again.
Dude, that was dope, man, because, like, I really thought Ben had it, but, like, it was that back and forth, and, I really liked that race. It really surprised me.
Yeah, it was one of the better races of the episode, for sure. Then we went on to the 13-14 bracket. We had Sophie Shaft, another Sophie, versus Celena Vanhaezebrouck, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the part where, for me, like for Celena, I don't know about you, Rich, but it hits me again, like, with this age range, you have such a drastic difference in sizes and everything else that comes with like kids and their age and their growth spurts. Celena looked so much older than everybody else on this episode. Am I wrong, man?
No, you're not wrong. She could very well easily pass for 16, I think.
Yeah, I was like, she's 14 years old, man. She kind of looks like Daniel Gill's wife. I forget Daniel Gill's wife's name.
Yeah.
Like, but she kind of has that like look going on. But man, this girl's like super legit. And I have a feeling she's a little bit new to ANW, but I feel like similar to Jessie Graff and a lot of the other Jessies with like really athletic backgrounds, like with her, I forget, Rich, but like she's got such a background in so many like different track athlete type things. If she commits to ANW, like athletically, she has a lot of really good gifts where she can do well.
Yeah. She, between the hurdles and we've seen a lot of runners do well. Like you think, like you mentioned Jessie Lebrack, famously a track athlete. It definitely bodes well for her, and yeah, she really stood out in this episode. The episode had some strong competition, but I think of everyone we saw, she was definitely right there at the top.
Oh yeah, and once again, like in particular, when it comes to female athletes, a strong track and field background like has proven to be very, very well in the sport. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they were paired off like at a great pace. Sophie pulled ahead by crushing it on the devil steps, like totally destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean the kids that know how to do those devil steps, man, do they make it look easy, right? And that is not an easy obstacle.
But Celena, who we've been going on before, she just single moved her way through the end of the flying shelf. and ended up taking it home in the end. A very good comeback for her towards the end of the course.
Yeah, and she went for it. The last transition on that shelf grab, like she just went for it, and I think that made the big difference.
Yep. After them, we had Casey Turia versus Nolan Ward. Casey lives in Hawaii. Extremely jealous, by the way.
Yeah, for real.
Is a wrestler and wins 80% of her matches, even against the boys. Like, they had a pretty good segment for her. Nolan ended up getting ahead on the Devil Steps and never looked back. He ended up bringing it home. Usually the segments are kind of a giveaway for who's going to win the round, but in this case, it was Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan, like, smooth and steady, I guess is the best way to describe this race for him.
Yep. So we had a fast forward after that. That was Casey versus Celena. Celena was ahead when Casey fell on the Devil Steps, unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know. I think we all knew what was going to happen in this race.
Yeah, I think Celena was a good shoe-in to take it home, which she did, which meant that we then saw Sophie versus Nolan. They gave Nolan a segment here. He has Asperger's, and Carson Williams is a coach. Nice to see Carson around.
Yeah, I really like this segment. I mean, Asperger's is a real thing, and in particular, I mean, we were just talking about the anxiety that these children have to go through. For somebody with Asperger's, I mean, that is pronounced tenfold. And really, props on this kid, even just standing in front of that crowd and going through this. I mean, it takes a lot of confidence when it comes to children with Asperger's to do anything like this. So I was really, really happy for him. And honestly, like, it's just a win for him going through all this. I'm sure he's really going to look back at this as a really cool moment in his life.
Yeah, I hope all the kids do. I hope they realize how cool this was. Sophie got ahead on the steps, and Nolan ended up falling on the third ledge in the end. So that meant in the finals, we had a rematch once again. Oh, I just realized every single one of these. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, every single round, the first match was a rematch for the final.
Man, well, I mean, I guess it just works out like that sometimes. I did not realize that, but that's kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, Sophie versus Celena, great run. Sophie got ahead on the Devil Steps again, and again, Celena made it up on the dismount of the flying shelf grab. They were very, very evenly matched with strengths in different parts of the course. Both of them missed the walls in their rush. Both missed it again a second time, and then Celena was able to bring it home on the third one. It was like a real nail biter on this one.
Yeah, it was the run of the night. I mean, hands down, I really love the ending. It was just back and forth. Like, who was going to get up that wall in the very end? And yeah, that was really cool.
Overall, to me, it was a little bit of a weaker episode. I really... it could be because I'm very, very tired. It was a very long week, so unfortunately, it didn't have my full attention. But even still, even saying that, I like here reviewing it. It wasn't a bad episode. I would still rate it like a 6 or a 7, but just not quite up to what the others have been.
Mm-hmm. I would put it mid-tier.
All right, so that's it for the coverage of that. Tell me about $1 Million Mile. What are we looking at here?
Oh man. So $1 Million Mile, man, I really I'm so curious to hear your thoughts, Rich, and I really want to hear the thoughts of everybody at home, because I gotta say, I enjoyed this show. I enjoyed it a lot more than Titan Games. I enjoyed it more than Spartan Ultimate Challenge. I really enjoyed it. I would not put it at the level of American Ninja Warrior or Ultimate Beastmaster, right? But I very much appreciate that they're going for something very different and unique when it so incorporating obstacles. In many ways, I feel like this is the show that Spartan Ultimate Challenge should have been. It has a lot of that obstacle course race vibes. And the whole time I am like, man, this is the show I should be on. Because I at least feel like I'd be making $25,000 on this show. Man, what is it? CBS? Yeah, CBS is putting some money onto this show because it's kind of got that structure of, what is it? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Where it's like, however many... it's hard to describe, but basically, like, there are tiers of money the further you kind of risk yourself. If you get caught by the person chasing you or whatever, you kind of lose it all. But there is a middle ground where if you reach $50,000, that's locked in and you get it. And I'm sorry, but 50 G's is a lot of money. So, yeah, go for it, right? Yeah, I kind of like the structure of this show. There's nothing particularly awful about it. And one thing that I really like is they do put a large portion of, I guess, the structure or whatever, the entertainment of the show when it comes to the personality of these quote unquote defenders, the athletes chasing them. And there's about 5 defenders, if I remember correctly, and they're all very, very famous people from the OCR community. You know, you have Vidal back. You know, if you guys know about him, he's a little bit more yoked in this, I gotta say. But I forget the name, but the guy that's won like a bunch of OCRs, man, I feel so bad for blanking on his name. But anyways, there's a lot of legit like Tough Mudder and Spartan Race champions, and the way the show is structured is you need to run like a fifth of a mile, get to this one, like an obstacle, and you get to choose which of the 5 obstacles you get to do and basically get through it. And I think they give you like a 2 or 5 minute head start. And as soon as you get through it, you can decide to go towards the end, which is a 15-story climb up this rope. And it's not like stage 4 on American Ninja Warrior, you know, it's weighted like on the other end. So it's kind of, you get a lot of help going up it, which I appreciate because, you know, after all this running and all this stuff, that's really not the case. And plus, it's about a race. So the pacing, you want it to be fast, you know? And at the end of the day, to make a long story short, the pacing of this show is very fast paced. And I really, really appreciate that. There's not all this slow down time. It's not like Titan games where it's obvious who's going to win. I mean, it's pretty damn cool, man. And I like the 5 obstacles that they have there. And yeah, I just want to keep it vague like that because I really want to get more into the weeds like next week or so when you get a chance to like watch it. But man, I gotta say, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay. What about the aesthetics? That seemed to be a strong point just from the preview. I don't know. I seem to remember them having like colorful vests. And is it filmed at night? Like it seemed to look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's filmed at night. It's very much got that ANW vibe in terms of like the darkness, but you know, like there's not a lot of lighting, but it makes it like the obstacles stand out. Like when they reach an obstacle, they press up that little buzzer beforehand, and the whole obstacle lights up. You know, so they actually do play a lot with the lighting, and it works to their benefits. I would say they did very well with the production of this show in terms of presenting the obstacle, the way the hosts like talk about it. I gotta say, if there is one weak part, Tim Tebow, bless his heart, but he's not the best at like being the central figure. That said, it isn't a show where it's like back to Tim Tebow. You kind of remember like 10 games they wanted The Rock on as much as possible, which I mean, I don't blame him. He's The Rock. Tim Tebow, he's there, but he's not like the strongest part. But the hosts, like the narrators or whatever you call it, that like the play-by-play people, they actually do a pretty good job with it. They're nowhere near Matt and Akbar, but they're also not like awful, if that makes sense, you know? And I don't know. I appreciate the fact that the way it's always a race where the athlete can't ever slow down. I think this is the key, is that the person that you're watching and you're rooting for, right? They can't ever slow down. They're running to an obstacle, and as soon as they get on the obstacle, they're just flying through it as quickly as they can. And these are like pretty thorough obstacles where it's not like, you know, you go through it very quickly. Like there's a lot of different components of it, right? And there's always that pace where it's like, oh, here comes the defender, and it's kind of like, you know, when a guy's running and then they let the dog, you know, go, and the dog starts chasing after the guy. It's kind of like that, for lack of a better analogy, I guess. And it's like, oh man, you know, there's 30 seconds in between them. Can they catch up? And I don't know. There's always that feeling where, oh man, the defender's going to get them. So, yeah, I don't know. I really like the pacing of it.
That's funny because I thought I mean, I knew they were obviously smart enough to account for it and everything, but to me, a mile just didn't seem long enough. Like, do you mean like to have that cat and mouse thing? And actually, I would have thought for them to be able to catch them. It's not like they're chasing me, right? They're chasing athletes. The people running the course are strong athletes in their own right, presumably.
Yes. No, they are.
Yeah. So I really would have thought a mile wouldn't be enough. I guess the obstacles are the part of the
obstacles.
Thing.
Yeah, it's the obstacles. And the cool part is that they get to choose which obstacles, like which order of obstacles they go for. Like, and I love that component where do you go for an obstacle that you think might be quicker to go through? Or do you go an obstacle that's easy but takes time, you know? And are you really racing for the $1 million going through all 5 of them? Or are you racing to get through 2 of them and take home like $25,000? There's a lot of strategy involved. And you don't see, or at least in the first episode, you don't see an obvious path for all the athletes. They all, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, take different first obstacles, you know? So it's interesting to see which obstacles they go for and how they choose their path.
So there is multiple people per episode. It's not just one race.
No, it's multiple people. Once again, it's kind of like, for a strange way, it gives me a lot of vibes of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And not, of course, in terms of like, oh, you know, you have to, I don't know, like go through like this crazy trivia game. But, you know, there's the brackets of levels of payments. If you keep on going, you're risking losing all the money. But if you keep going, the reward is the $1 million. But also, there is like, I don't know, I think there were like 4 people on this episode going through. And I don't know, I found it fun.
Okay, I know you don't want to get into a whole lot of detail. I'll cut it here soon, but I'm trying to picture, right? So I'm struggling a little bit with the 5 obstacles. So let's say the person chooses to go through obstacle 1, right? And so they do some running, they hit that obstacle, and it sounds like it doesn't cut away. It's not like okay, you know, Bob, you've done this far. Are you going to try for another obstacle? It's like they just go, right, from one to the next?
Yeah, so basically, how do I describe this? So they have, I guess, like a few blocks of a city, right? And the obstacles are all spread out about 1/5 of a mile between each other. And in the middle of them is the central kind of like quote-unquote endpoint, you know, which is a 15-story building where you got to climb up a rope. And no matter what, that's the endpoint. So basically, if I were to be on this show, I would run. And I'd run to, let's say, the obstacle where there's these bamboo sticks, where you have to kind of just grab and shuffle from one to the other on one of they're spring-loaded. It takes time, but you can get through it and everything like that. After 5 minutes of me running to this obstacle and then going through it, no matter where I'm at in this whole thing, they let loose Save Vidal, the Spartan champion for multiple times. And he's racing his way towards that obstacle, right? Now, I get through it and say there's 2 minutes difference between us. I start running to another obstacle, let's say one where there's pendulums, like trapeze bars and everything like that. It's like monkey bars and then trapeze bars. And I jet over there, but I'm running and he's coming after me. He still needs to get through the first obstacle, like the bamboos, but obviously he's Vidal, so he flies through that. You know, where it took me maybe a minute and a half, it takes him 30 seconds. And he's racing and he's moving and I'm running to this next obstacle. And I get to it and I start going through these. And by the time, let's say I'm just getting off that obstacle, right? And it's not like an American Ninja Warrior obstacle where it takes like just a second. Like these take time. He starts beginning it. So now I see that he's like very close to me and he's flying through and he's just frothing at the mouth. He's like, I'm going to get you, you know?
Right.
Basically at this point, I'm like, ah! And rather than going towards the third obstacle, I jet my butt over towards that wall and I'm running and he's coming. And it's not like he has to tag me. He basically has to finish that obstacle before me, if I remember correctly. So I'm running, and I get to that wall, and I start climbing, But at this point, I've ran like probably a half a mile nonstop and going through these obstacles, and I am just completely, just everything's drained from me. And I have this Spartan athlete that is completely used to having all of his muscles fired up and everything like that. And he's just flying up this rope, and I am just trying to struggle through getting to the top of this, because if I don't, I'm going to lose all that money that I worked so hard for. And I'm struggling, and I just get to the top of it, and then you kind of have to like, I don't know, take like a zip line down, you know? So I get to the zip line just before he does, and I'm ziplining down, and he's ziplining, and he's just staring at me. He's like, I'm gonna get you. And then I get off the zip line, and I run for my dear life, and I hit that buzzer at that finish line right before he does, and then I plummet to the ground, and I stick my arms up like, yes, I got $25,000. And then he stares at me like, "Grr." And that's the end of it.
I'm picturing Mr. T for some reason, and I don't know why.
I hope you guys enjoyed that story. But there you go.
It was a great story. So that's Bijan's dream now. Done the Ninja Warrior. Next is going to be $1 Million Mile.
Hey, I can make some money from that one, you know? I mean, that's in my wheelhouse. All the stuff I've done in my life is very much trained me for this.
Nice.
I just want that 50
cool.
G's, man. That would be nice. I hope this show's doing well. I need to check this ratings because, man, do a season 2, please.
Oh, one other thing. You mentioned Tim Tebow, I think. Isn't LeBron James sponsoring this thing?
Oh, yeah. Dude, you want to talk about someone that's barely in this show. LeBron, yeah, I guess he is on the show. I kind of just remember him at the beginning and end. He really does not play a major part of this show at all.
Kind of like a Sylvester Stallone Ultimate Beastmaster role?
Yeah, kind of like that, man.
I love... Does it not? It's kind of on brand when you think about all these different shows that they bring stars in for. Most of them kind of lend their name. They probably offer some ideas and get behind the scenes a bit. But only The Rock is like, well, I'm the star of the show. We're going to have me all through it.
Oh, Titan Games. How good of a show you could have been, but man, I got to say, I mean, for me at least, the show is far superior than it.
Sounds it.
Curious to hear your thoughts, man. And seriously, if you guys have separate thoughts, like if you guys hate this show or love it like even more than me, let me know. I really want to hear like the good consensus of this.
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit of feedback. Seems positive. They complained. Let me try to think. They thought it was a little weird that they had a 2-minute head start. Oh no, sorry. They liked that they had a 2-minute head start because they thought it was a little unfair that the athletes had tried, the pro athletes basically had done the obstacles before. But it sounds like that's like a tiny fraction of the problem, the challenge here is that these are top OCR, like famous, like extremely top athletes that I wasn't expecting. I thought they were just, really strong competitors, but they're like top Spartans.
Yeah, I mean, these are the people that are at the top of the world when it comes to this, I guess, like type of obstacle course. I mean, I don't blame them at all. I mean, if I were to be competing against Drew Dreshel and American Ninja Warrior, I would need every handicap available, right?
Right.
2 minutes really is not that much.
I guess that makes sense, right? Like, it's not like you're very likely to have somebody just out there that doesn't compete in these things against them, able to beat them, right? You're not going to bring some schmo off of the, some back alley to beat LeBron James. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So
I mean, seriously, when you see this show, it's not the running part where, they're catching up. It's the obstacle part. The person that's running originally, they're struggling through the obstacle where the defender or the pro athlete is just blowing through it. So there's that.
Cool. All right. Well, that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as Rich at ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Yo, hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Peace, love, and deuces. How's that for an outro?